Well, I didn't have a breakfast burrito, and I haven't done any yard work, and don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. But I did read my copy of Impossible Stars, well, I guess is the latest title to come out of Splato Comics, that being the company begun by Richard C. Meyer. And in this offering, we have a story. Well, I guess he had the concepts, and then Chuck Dixon wrote it put the dialogue and everything. And then, of course, returning artist Renzo Rodriguez, who did the Pandemic comic book. Rodriguez's art, it's good, it's solid, but, and I mean, it's almost not quite fair to say it comes across as stiff, but it comes across as stiff sometimes. Now, there's a lot of beautiful outer space, artwork in here and all that, and so it's, and the story flows pretty well. But between the two, a Pandemic and this one, I just felt Pandemic was the better of the two. When it comes to science fiction, the concept has to be, again, solid, have some amount of credibility to it, but right off the bat, this is a business of achieving a light speed, which I know Star Wars does, but Star Wars is not really science fiction. It has more a kinship with Lord of the Rings than it would with Star Trek. They both have spaceships and they're in outer space, and that's it. Star Trek is more of a science fiction story, but it has these great leaps that you just have to kind of ignore. Now, warp speed and whatnot, they call it warp speed, but the idea would be you're warping space, so it's not so much speed as it is, it's just, folding actual space itself and just crossing over between two stars, that sort of thing. But the biggest thing in Star Trek, I think, is like the transporter and the replicator. I mean, good Lord, that's the power of God. And they just never mention it, but the ability to do that, to break down molecules and then rebuild them with the replicator, rebuild it into something else, and with people, So light speed could be achieved if you use like transporter technology and you just beamed yourself, because you're basically light at that point. You're just this pure energy entity that's leaping across the vastness of space at the speed of light. And then I don't know how you managed to make it reassemble back to normal on the other end, but of course, with Einstein's theory and all that stuff, no matter how fast you get the ship to go, it's never going to get there. So, well, you just have to take it for granted that somehow they figured that out, and these ships can do that. So the idea is, of course, it's in the future, and Earth has developed some prototype ships, and they're just about to test it, and then disaster strikes, and seemingly there's only one survivor. And then some alien force attacks the Earth, sending a warning of, you guys need to stick in your backyard, don't you dare come out of it. We don't want your kind out here. You understand? So city gets blasted and all this stuff, and that's the warning shot. But one of the runner-up astronauts that was supposed to pilot the original ship goes rogue and decides he's going to do this. Now, it's so ultimately the adventure plot of it is this chase, because the Earth authorities don't want him to do this because it puts the Earth at risk because of the alien anger towards them, and they don't want to mess with that. And so they go after, they utilize the guy who survived the initial test, and so there's this chase within the solar system between the two prototype ships, and that's the story. I'm not going to spoil everything. I'll just give you the ideas of some of the elements there, because I mean the description for the Indiegogo campaign pretty much gave you the premise and all that. So the main two characters that are interesting here is the guy who's stolen the ship and does this. Now, his motivation is credible and understandable, and he's coming out of anger at what happened and out of remorse. And so it's not like it's completely out of the way for what he does, but what he does It's some pretty bad stuff. But at the same time, there is some amount of credible story here as to why he would be in this position or put himself there. And it doesn't justify what he did in no shape or matter. But it it's not so far-fetched, because there's been these like some of these well, the one that comes to mind is how the WandaVision series ended, where the guy who becomes the villain, and he was this a-hole leader of the sword organization and stuff like that. And okay, but then at the 11th hour, he's suddenly a homicidal maniac, and just because you needed him to be, and that kind of cheap crap. That's not the case here. This is thought out as to why this character is like this and what he does, and all of that. So there's that. And so, because for a while I was thinking, I don't know if I'm really liking this one, but looking over it again, and I say, well, I appreciate and respect the work done here for it. The other character, of course, is the guy who's supposed to be the survivor, and I say that without trying not to spoil things, because he's not what he seems. And I think it's mostly going to center around him and his story later, because this is a cliffhanger ending, and I mean, it's the nature of it's in some ways about how you have to back these books on Indiegogo to get your copy, and that sort of thing, and then however long it'll take for them to do the follow-up to this. But it is a little bit more time than it would be if it was just some books that were going to be in stores and all that. So you get your cliffhanger, and so okay, you wait what a month or two for the next one, maybe. Well, it's probably gonna be a little bit longer than that. So, but that's the situation as is. Would it have been better to complete the entire story and put out a thick book of a complete novel, really? Perhaps, but then again, there's some of these stories kind of act as teasers to get you in. So, well, now I got to know what happened. That sort of thing. Maybe so, but the situation is what it is. So I was going to say the backup story. It's a separate comic book, the Nexus comic book in there, and the art in there is just absolutely great. And Nexus was a character that I was aware of, and I would see advertisements for him back when he was being published by First Comics. And the only reason I was reading First Comics was American Flag. Badger was being published, but American Flag was the deal for me. And so I always meant to check it out because, it was a cool-looking superhero character. Hey, it's a cool-looking version of Cyclops. But it's a spacefaring character, so it fits in that, you get these two science fiction stories, and one's a superhero story, and the other one is, your standard fare of maybe elements of Star Trek, but not so much. But anyway, you get the idea. And so, again, another cliffhanger, but so it's like a traditional floppy comic book, So I don't know what the plan is there, or they'll just keep doing this with Impossible Stars, and the two will be together to the completion of the story there. So Nexus has this. This is a basic story. There's these triplets that are very special because they have certain gifts and abilities, and a lot of nasty people want to exploit those for their own ends. And so Nexus is there to put a stop to that, but he doesn't quite save them all at the end, so you gotta wait for the next story to find out. I'm sure he will, but we'll see how he does it. So all in all, good package deal. And of course, sadly, due to the nature of how these books come about, I can't really say, all right, go get yourself a copy. Well, maybe on eBay, I don't know, but to keep up with the other campaigns that Meyer does, I'm sure there'll be at some point like a bundle tier where you can get this book along with perhaps the next one will offer that, that sort of thing. So that's what to look forward to. One of the other things that gives me quite the bias when it comes to science fiction, and I think I've improved over the years, but initially it was like I wasn't all that interested in science fiction comic books. because science fiction was readily available on television and films, and sometimes it wasn't so great, but a lot of times it was pretty good. Whereas the superhero fare just really wasn't. You pretty much had the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and that was about it. Other attempts and television shows, I guess The Incredible Hulk was, was probably the best there was as far as television goes back in those days. But the comic book superheroes, of course, and even now, they still dominate and outshine their movie versions. But they were just so much better, whereas it was kind of the opposite of science fiction. Now, since then, I've looked back at a lot of the old EC sci-fi stories and stuff like that, and of course the Art of Wally Wood and all that. Well, Wallace Wood, sorry, he did not like being called that. and of course Flash Gordon and all that sort of stuff. And I had, it's earned my respect since then, but it's still sort of like, well, the superhero stuff I tend to be drawn more to than sci-fi, so I'm probably a little tougher on science fiction comic books than not than some of the other genres. So I thought it was important to make mention of that. That's probably just me. So anyway, there it is, and of course I will have to back the next installment. Overall, if I was going to rank them, I guess A God King is the one that I was not all that wowed by. I liked A Lost Souls much better than that one, and so that's probably this one, I guess, is above that one. And then there's Pandemic, and the absolute best that I've seen. I never did got to see I didn't back Ironhide, so I don't have those, so maybe those are much better. But the Ballad of No is just this real short story, but it fits into his ultimate. They're going to do this other collection of series called Theosophy is the whole name of the saga, I suppose, and Pandemic blends and fits in with that as well. But the Ballad of No is just fantastic, and I was surprised at how good it was. And it also has this clever use of minimalism and to its approach and appearance and whatnot, and yet I don't know, it just has a charm all its own. And boy, I hope it can repeat more of that, because I think that one is the pinnacle of what Meyer has produced. So there we go. Impossible Stars, which it's in the title. It produces a lot of impossible elements. So hey, you got to give it that. So there it is, Impossible Stars. If you don't have your own copy, I'm sure it'll be available in some form or fashion. So to keep a lookout for it for your sci-fi comic book needs. Oh yeah. All right. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.